The building blocks of great magazine and publishing and design is typography and the grids, and a lot of the stuff you don't really notice and see, but that sort of those are the building blocks of quality, and just help reading and understanding, and that sort of foundation has to be right before you can move on. And then it's establishing your voice and your brand. I think that's very important, to have something that is appropriate and relevant and makes sense for your audience, for your readers, and for your content. It encompasses, you know, everything from typeface design to page layouts, how they're done, how the pages are broken up, how many stories on a page. A magazine like People or Us is, you know, great and fun and broken up, and that's the way it should look. But the New Yorker should look completely different. It's got different content, different audience, you read it in a different way. What's complicated about type is a lot of it you don't want to notice. If you're reading text, long text or even short text, and you notice it, it's a bad thing. So it's either been set badly, and there's lots of technical aspects to making text set beautifully on a page. There's lots of sort of spacing and metrics and parameters, and the space in between the letters, the space in between the words, and the space in between the lines. It's tempting to use new, interesting fonts that feel seductive on the first blush, first look interesting, but it's going to get tiring after a while. There's this balance between getting a font that'll last for a long time, because it's not something you want to change regularly. It's this kind of foundation, fundamental part of your part of the magazine. The advertising has all this color and it has all this kind of impact, and you want to separate, so readers can find the editorial and there isn't this ambiguity or this confusion. So there are sort of functional reasons to do it. A lot of, I've noticed, sort of fashion and design magazines have started doing that, partly because photography can look fantastic against black. You know, a black frame or a white frame, it doesn't compete. You can still, again with this new typography, you can still get tone and contrast and interest just with black and white with typography. But I think magazines should evolve, generally, as a general rule of thumb, they should evolve slowly. If there is a major redesign where you're shaking everything up, changing the logo and the format and everything, hopefully there's a reason behind that. You're going in a new direction, you have a new audience, a new content, or trying to reach a new audience, or a new editorial. If nothing else is really changing and it's just change for the sake of change, I think that's disruptive, and you can confuse readers, you can lose your identity to a certain degree. I mean, your identity is built over years, what they call brand equity. It's just built over years, and sometimes some really good, solid design elements or typography or spirit is just thrown out just for the sake of change. And I think it's more satisfying for the design team or the internal team, and not necessarily worthwhile for the readership. I do believe it should change and keep fresh and always change, but it doesn't have to be this, you know, complete overhaul and 2 years later just go back the other way or change. It can be an evolution. We always go into the history books and look at the archives of a magazine that we're working on, and see if there's anything distinct or ownable, something that they had that we can revive. And we did that with New York Magazine. We looked at the early issues, and there was a kind of language, a kind of typography that was usable and ownable. They have this crazy logo, which was much copied and, you know, made perfect sense in the late 60s when it was originally designed. It's kind of psychedelic Art Nouveau kind of thing. You would never come up with it now, but we had to keep it. It just becomes very memorable and ownable and distinct, and we're always looking for opportunities like that.